Welcome everybody to the May 24th meeting of the Carpenter Unified School District. I will begin with the roll call. Andy?
Aaron? Here. Jamie?
Here.
Sally?
Here.
Jamie?
I'm here.
So am I.
Awesome. All right, during closed session this evening, item B2, we had a conference with the labor negotiators. Information was discussed amongst the board, but no action was taken. Regarding item B3, the board did vote 5-0 in favor of the settlement referenced in item B3. We'll now start the regular session. Please stand for the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move right along to item C3, the approval of the minutes from the meeting of April 26, 2022.
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, and we have comments on this item, I believe.
Yes, we have Employee Union President Jay Hochner. You need to turn it on.
All right, please let me know when I may begin.
No.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. In the board members' April 26th public rebuke, which should be contained in the minutes of that meeting, district leadership failed to acknowledge its responsibility for the current condition that we're witnessing at this moment. Since the arrival of Superintendent Rigby, the district has gradually restricted and removed every method of communication afforded the union, but for contract bargaining, which, thanks to labor laws of our country, the district could not deny. CUSD has walked away from each of the more private and contractual opportunities designed to share and discuss concerns, interests, and professional suggestions. Once these more private opportunities were removed, the union tried to clarify concerns and questions in writing, most often via email, but that too was an affront to current administration, who were unwilling to place the district's positions in writing. By Ms. Rigby's second year, district administration began misusing its authority to threaten, retaliate, and release select union leaders, clearly intending to frighten union leaders and members into silence. The district's behavior under Ms. Rigby's guidance resulted in state-level charges and a legal decision confirming that the CUSD had engaged in retaliation against union leadership. Once again, union leadership refused to go away. Since the state's decision in June 2021, which was upheld on an appeal in a precedent-setting decision last November, union leadership was forced to examine the ever-decreasing opportunities that existed for communicating with district leadership.
How is this pertinent to the
Excuse me, but, and I'd like to make sure I regain this time. I don't believe that you're supposed to be cutting off a public speaker. Is that correct, Mr. Schaefer?
Well, you're speaking on a specific agenda item.
Yes, exactly. When we're speaking to the minutes, if you'll allow me to finish, you'll see what this has to do with.
All right.
If you can, I would appreciate it. So can we go back to where
You need to
we
continue.
begin?
I cannot stop this. Please continue.
Please continue. Since the state's decision in June 2021, which was upheld on appeal in a precedent-setting decision last November, union leadership was forced to examine the ever-decreasing opportunities that existed for communicating with district leadership. In absence of a safe and contractual opportunity to privately discuss workplace safety, professionalism, and working conditions, union leadership was compelled to bring these issues to this more public forum. Union leadership does not prefer this method of communication, but since no other safe and documentable method of communication exists in our communications with the board and district leadership, we are compelled to share our advocacy and, in many cases, the district's dirty laundry here in public. Union leadership has an obligation to defend the rights of district employees whose work is fundamental to the success and productivity of the students and families we serve. We have a right to advocate for a more professional workplace and a more ethical managerial performance. So if it means we must endure accusations of looking ugly or being disloyal or being negative, or if we must share negative information in public, union leadership will rise to that challenge, not because we enjoy it, but because it must be done. Did you see the connection?
Please be seated. All right. All those in favor of item C3, approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
We're now moving on to item C4, approval of the agenda and consent agenda. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve?
I'll second.
Thank you. Now, we haven't,
Roll call.
it is a roll call, but we're approving the consent agenda. Do we want to have public speaking on this agenda item?
Yes, we do. Mr. Union President Jay Hortner.
All right, Mr. Hoshner, we're talking about item C4 now. You indicated you have D9 through 16, so I'm going to allow you 3 minutes on item C4, which is what we're voting on.
I'm sorry, but I've signed up for public comment on D9.
That's
Item
correct.
D10.
However, the entire D,
Item D11, item D14, and item D16.
yes, I
These are
understand.
all individual agenda items, so I
They are
believe
not,
that I have
because
3 minutes.
if you read the agenda, item C4 is what we're voting on right now. Approval of the agenda and consent agenda, which includes all the D items. So I'll give you 3 minutes.
3 minutes per item, correct?
3 minutes total.
Per agenda. Oh, so are you changing the rules?
I am not. There's one agenda item, there's 3 minutes.
I'll pick one, and then we'll address them at a later time. This is exactly what we're talking about, though, what the union's trying to share with the public, that you continue to restrict access and then gesticulate in front of the public when you hear information you don't want to hear in
We
public.
don't have our opinions. Continue.
Yes,
3 minutes.
okay,
beginning
well,
now.
allow me to, for a moment, to select which of those items we'll be speaking to. All right, we'll specifically use this time to speak to D11, and then we'll work to hold you accountable for the decision at a later
Okay,
time.
Awesome.
Yes.
D11, starting now, 3 minutes.
All righty, D11, thank you. Union leadership reminds the school board and community of the significant increases to the CUSD's legal expenses under Superintendent Rigby, which can be found on page 18 of the budget presentation you will see this evening. This law firm alone, Fagan, Friedman, and Fulfrost, has earned well over $1 million from CUSD since Superintendent Rigby has personally brought them to the district. That is an increase in legal expenditures 5 times higher than the total accrued during the period prior to the arrival of Superintendent Rigby. Union leadership asks, is it a coincidence that this high-power anti-labor LA law firm has been the primary beneficiary of the district's radical increase in legal expenses? Let's consider what has changed since the district began racking up these enormous legal fees under Superintendent Rigby. Not union leadership, that hasn't changed. Not the number of students we serve, that has actually dropped. Not the quality of education across the district. Not the district's record legal losses, either in state courts or hearing rooms. And clearly not the candor with which the union shares its concerns. But there have been 2 significant changes while district legal fees have skyrocketed and continue to show no sign of declining. The arrival of Superintendent Rigby would be the first significant change. The second would be her decision to bring this specific LA law firm, Fagan, Friedman, and Fulfrost, to CUSD. To put it plainly, were it not for the work of this firm, Superintendent Rigby could not have pursued her anti-union and anti-labor practices with the same zeal and overconfidence. It was this firm that oversaw and directed the district's unsuccessful legal effort to retaliate against union leadership and district employees. But as that costly blunder wasn't enough, it is also this firm that assured the superintendent and school board that they should also pursue a costly appeal process, which in turn they also lost. These public monies don't come from the personal pockets of our district leaders. Instead, they are funded by our taxpayer dollars, and they are squandered at the cost of programs for our children, resources for classrooms, and the variety of other transformational opportunities that the district is unable to provide district students and their families. Let's be clear. While defended by this firm, the superintendent will continue to behave this way, seemingly at your bequest. $1 million plus later, Is it not time to end these political and personal distractions? When will this board focus on the more challenging and important mission, eliminating such waste so as to robustly fund the education of Carpinteria's children? Over $1 million squandered. When will you take action to hold these people accountable?
All right, item C4, this is a roll call, Andy?
Aaron.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
Sally.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
And I'm aye.
Thank you. We will move along to our public interest. Item E1.
Well, great.
We ready?
Yes, we are.
All right, we got it.
This is a very special occasion. We are going to honor our retirees tonight. And I'd like to recognize and thank the dedicated service to our students and families. We'd like to thank Darcy Campbell for 21 years as CHS counselor. Mary Keene Gruner, 13 years at CHS Culinary Arts. Deborah Leiter, CMS Science, 28 years. Kathleen Tomsha, 21 years at Canalino. And Teresa Kuntz as our gate coordinator, 33 years. And we will have comments from your principals, and you each will receive a certificate of appreciation that I'd like to read, as well as a clock and a rose bush that's on the side wall that you'd be kind enough to take out. But let me read the certificate of appreciation for each one of you. In recognition of your dedicated service to the students, staff, and families of the Carpinteria Unified School District, for your commitment and devotion to the power of our public schools, for your leadership, compassion, and dedication to the lives of students and their families, for your belief in the success of every student, the Board of Trustees and the entire school community offer their heartfelt thanks and appreciation. So thank you all. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Corneo to join us, and he'd like to make some comments about Darcy and Mary.
Good afternoon. Tonight we get to celebrate two wonderful dedicated educators. I will begin with Ms. King Gruner, our culinary arts instructor for the last 13 years at Carpinteria, with a total of 35 years as a teacher when she was at Glendale. Ms. King Gruner, come on. Did you prepare your speech? No. During this time, Ms. King Gruner has conducted classes in our old culinary arts classroom, in the old teacher's lounge, while the new state-of-the-art culinary arts kitchen was being remodeled. During this time, while she was in the teacher's lounge, I was impressed on how the teacher's lounge could become a culinary arts class for our students at Carpinteria High School. She's always looking for ways to provide the best experience for our students. Ms. King Gruner is always a positive and willing to adjust to the situation as it calls for it. Students are always gravitating toward her class, not just because of the food, but also because they know that Ms. King Gruner cares for each one of them and is always there to support them. Ms. King Gruner has now decided to retire, even though we tried to persuade her not to, and pursue other endeavors. But I know that she will be camping and enjoying the great outdoors with her husband. When I asked a student what was one thing that they could tell me about Ms. King Gruner, they responded, Ms. King Gruner is funny, caring, and knows how to cook, but she's very patient with students, especially freshmen who are learning how to cook. Ms. King Gruner has promised to come back and help us as we need it. I think she's got the Carpinteria bug, one that won't let you go, and it brings you back every time. On behalf of the entire Carpinteria High School community, I would like to acknowledge and thank Ms. King Gruner for making our school an even better place than when she arrived. You will leave a legacy at our school and it will be difficult to replace. You are now a CHS warrior, and you're very much appreciated by all students, parents, staff, and teachers. For you, you have always been there for supporting our programs and our students. Would you consider retirement? No? Okay. If you put people on the spot, sometimes they change their mind. Thank Ms. King-Gruner. Thank you very much for allowing us to get to know you and for inspiring us to become better people and better educators. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you. I will help you out with this one. Thank you. Should I open it? Sure. Is it done? No. It's a clock. So you can see each minute that you miss Carpenter High School.
Mary, I'd just like to say I'd just like to say it's very exciting to see how you've been able to transform or evolve into that new classroom and transform that program into such a successful place for our students to learn life skills and career skills that are going to be with them for a long time. And I know that your service will truly be missed. And it's been a pleasure.
Our next retiree is Ms. Campbell. Our wonderful academic counselor at Carpenter High School, AP coordinator, A through G liaison, and our liaison to Santa Barbara City College. Ms. Campbell has been in our school district for 21 years. She came to us from the middle school, and ever since she arrived at Carpenter High School, she has been an integral component in the educational program at Carpenter High School. Ms. Campbell is always part of the team and is constantly looking for ways to support our students to have access to the programs that they need in order to be successful in the future. Ms. Campbell has served as a mentor to many of our current and former academic counselors and is always a role model to follow. Ms. Campbell is always available to meet with our students and parents. Her knowledge and overall commitment to our students is evident every time you speak to students about their academic experience with Ms. Campbell. When they apply for colleges, when they're looking for ways to solve personal problems, they always go to Ms. Campbell. Ms. Campbell has been a key player in our efforts to increase student A through G completion, college acceptance, and also completing our financial aid applications. Ms. Campbell has not only served as an academic counselor, but also as a guide to many of our parents as they navigate the teenage years of their students. Ms. Campbell is looking forward to traveling, painting, and long walks on the beach. On behalf of our educational community, thank you for everything you've done for our students, our parents, and staff. You will be greatly missed, but we know where you live. So make sure you answer the door when we come calling for some guidance. Thank you for always being there every time I come and seek support from you. You have always been there for me, for our students, and for our parents. And thank you very much for being a part of our school and now allowing us to get to know you. You are going to leave a legacy at Carpenter High School that will last for many years. Thank you.
I don't want
There
to
you go.
kill it.
No, I will take this out. I haven't paid my gym membership, so I
I might be able to help you.
I know, exactly.
Well, yeah, no. Video taking robot.
Darcy? Darcy, I'd just like to say thank you. All three of our kids have had you as their counselor, and I know, countless others that have, and the positive effect and impact you've had on their lives and hundreds of other students in Carpinteria they're gonna remember it forever, because you helped them move into their next stage of life and on to college and careers that they may not have had you not been their counselor. And I know they all really, really are going to miss you, and those students who haven't had you as their counselor are really going to miss you. So thank you very much.
And now I'd like to invite Lisa O'Shea to join us to celebrate Deborah Leiter.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I asked Deb to wait to come up till after, because I don't know if I can get through this if she's right next to me. But I also want to recognize all the amazing CMS teachers that are here tonight. So I'm going to read some comments by some of our teachers. Lindsay Agnew, who's here tonight, says Deb is an incredible teacher and mentor, a hilarious sense of humor. School should be fun for teachers and students. She's supportive, welcoming. You can always count on her for great advice and help during tough times. Our librarian, Pat G., says Ms. Leiter's well-respected, a longtime member of the middle school. She's brought joy, laughter, a deep commitment. She's mentored many new teachers along the way and is an example of an exemplary teacher. Throughout the day, many people have told me that Deb was the first to welcome them into the fold. Crystal Hodgner says she's the untitled leader of CMS. She's boosted teacher morale and camaraderie by friendship, honesty, integrity, and humor. Cindy Faust says she inspires us, teachers, students, and adds joy to our days. Allie Taylor, who's here tonight, says Deb is a one-of-a-kind, true unicorn. Deb reached out and took me under her wing 16 years ago. She's become more of a sister than a colleague. She's the most kind and giving and dedicated person I know, and to colleagues and students as well. The relationship she was able to build with each student is unreal. There's an emptiness already without her physical presence at CMS, but her passion, her drive, her integrity, and her love for teaching will always be at CMS. And then our student Mason said, thank you for being such a wonderful teacher. I would never have thought school could be so much fun. And then Meredith Parton couldn't join us tonight, but she did share some words. She says, Deb is an exemplary teacher to students and staff alike. Students are always excited to be in Deb's class because she's hilarious, knowledgeable, and fun. She makes complex concepts accessible. Deb is a teacher's teacher. She's the first to welcome new hires, to organize staff celebrations, and support those around her. She's a model of strength and dedication. She's deeply loyal, a remarkable teacher, and it's been Maris and our honor to work alongside her. So I think you can see some common themes. She's supportive. She has a great sense of humor. So many people have said that she was the first to take them under their wing. I know when I came to CMS, it took me about a week to recognize that Deb was the mom of CMS. Always caring, always nurturing. We miss her, we love her, and we'll always treasure her.
Should I take it out?
I know, I'm sorry, here it is. Oh, we can have a commercial break.
Why don't you hold this and then I can hold the clock?
See, if we had come up, we could have just done it.
Deb, I don't know if you remember, but you were my wife, Kathy's student. When she was a student teacher, you were her mentor, and she still talks about how great that was. And Olivia took your OYO class, and she's on her way to a career in textiles and fashion and you gave her that spark. And I know you've given a lot of other kids spark. In fact, Asher just the other day had to sew something, and he said, or one of the moms said, I can do that. And he's like, no, I'm actually pretty good at this. I learned it from Miss Leiter. So you're going to be truly missed. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Jamie Pursoon up, and she would like to say a few words for Kathleen Tomsha.
Good evening. So Kathleen Tomsha has been a teacher at Catalino Schools since the year 2000, I think. Yeah. She taught a number of years in 4th grade, really focused on high-quality, engaging science instruction, and has been teaching in 2nd grade for the last 12 years, and she did 1 year as a 3rd grade teacher. Yes. When I think about Kathleen's class, I'm reminded what a tight, close-knit, and warm community she creates with her students, also focused on the families of the students as part of the classroom. She is often the first person on campus each morning and stays quite late every day. Her dedication to her students is absolute. The best way I can describe her is through the words of those who know her talents. From parent Jess Mayer, as a parent volunteering in her class, I came to see that Kathleen taught with kindness and empathy at the center of everything. She made each of her students feel unique and special and cared for. She challenged them to think for themselves and encouraged them to solve problems through trial and error. Whether it was telling jokes at a birthday celebration, marble roller coaster engineering, which was happening yesterday, crystal glowing, or catapults, Kathleen's classroom was full of fun, curiosity, and exploration. She's one of those special teachers you'll never forget. A special thanks to her for many years of sculpting young people to be the best versions of themselves. We will miss her always. From student Jane, I think Ms. Tomsha is a great teacher because she made everything fun and exciting. I still often visit her classroom during school breaks, recess, before and after school with my friends, and have snacks and help her with her current class activities. We are always welcome there, and we love to hang out with Ms. Tomsha because she's just so fun. And finally, from retired colleague Pat Boyer that partnered with Kathleen for a number of years. Kathleen Tomsha is a dedicated and industrious teacher who puts her students first. Frequently, she's the first to arrive at the school and the last to leave, always willing to help her students. While most teachers would take a break at recess or lunchtime, you could find Kathleen in her classroom giving students assistance. But she could be tough, insisting children be accountable for homework, classwork, and their behavior. No excuses. I was fortunate to teach 4th grade with Kathleen. She got the Computers for Families program going. I don't know if you know that here in CUSD. That was Kathleen. And making sure students all had a computer to use at home. Her involvement with Books for Kids, by Kids, gave students the opportunity to compose and illustrate books that were sent to the doctor's offices for patients to enjoy. Ms. Tomsha hosted the Robotics Club after school. And 1 year, Kathleen took on the project of raising salmon from eggs to small fish so her students could observe the life cycle and the habitat of the salmon, which was no small feat. She's always had so much energy, working tirelessly to prepare her students for the challenges they would face. Congratulations, Kathleen, for all your accomplishments, and wishing you a well-deserved retirement. And I think, Sally, you were her supervisor as well.
Well, I was going to say that Kathleen and I we were the after-school program at the middle school in 2000. And then I had the privilege of working with her at Catalino for a number of years. And the thing that I think I remember the most about your classroom was that every child was important. And you knew exactly what every child needed and somehow managed to oversee each and every child at their level doing whatever they were doing. And you will be missed. Thank you, Kathleen.
I was just going to say I wasn't there in 2000, but the way you fiercely love, care for, and support the kids in your class is amazing. And your class was such a turning point for Molly because you gave her a space to feel safe, to not always be the best, be finishing on time, just to be where you met her where she was at and let her know that it was okay to be wherever that was. And from there, her confidence was able to grow because of what you instilled in her. And also your encouragement to me as a parent that she will come around in her time. And she did, and it's amazing. But so much of that was from your class. And I could say that for all the teachers all the way through Catalino, but you especially really were a turning point for my family and for Molly. And so thank you so much, because I know she's not the only one.
I guess that Gerardo started it. Yeah. Now we all got to do it. Right. Even have your name on it. Thank you.
And I'd like to invite Carla Curry to the podium to introduce Teresa Kuntz.
Good evening. Today we have gathered here to bid a retirement farewell to CUSD's beloved GATE coordinator, Ms. Teresa Kuntz. After receiving her multiple subject teaching credential from Cal State Los Angeles, Teresa began her teaching career in 1985 with Glendale Unified School District at Thomas Edison Elementary School as a first grade bilingual elementary school teacher. Then Teresa came to CUSD to start her career with us as a first grade bilingual elementary school teacher at Catalino Elementary School in 1989. Since then, she has served as Arts Grants Program Coordinator, Advanced Placement Challenge Grant Coordinator, Instructional Strategies Coordinator, and now as CUSD's GATE District Coordinator. In addition, Teresa has received multiple grants, such as the Delta Kappa Gamma Life Grant, Teachers Fund Grant, and Carpinteria Education Foundation Grant, totaling 10 years of awarded grants. Teresa has also been a member of several professional organizations and societies over her professional career, in addition to receiving the Distinguished Educator Award, Pacific Region, from the California Association of the Gifted, and the We Honor Our Own Recipient Award from the Tri-County Gate Council. Over the course of her 37-year career in education, Teresa received her master's degree from Cal State LA in bilingual multicultural education, in addition to a clear bilingual cross-cultural language and academic development certificate. In addition, Teresa has completed numerous continuing education opportunities, such as Project Lead the Way and CSLA's California School Leadership Academy. Wow, there's so much more to say. We only have a few minutes. So on behalf of CUSD, we wish Teresa all the best in her upcoming retirement. Teresa, if you put as much effort into enjoying your retirement as you have with CUSD, then it's sure to be a success. Thank you, Teresa, and good luck into your next adventure.
I just have to say, Teresa, that what I remember most about you was students coming up to me and saying, "Is it the GATE class today? Is she here today?" So you were always very popular. Thank you.
The gate lady. Let's ask all the retirees to stand up so we can recognize them. One round of applause. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you all. I would also like to recognize and thank Trustee Jamie Bray for her dedicated service and leadership to Carpinteria Unified School District for these past 4 years. Jamie is going to be relocating to Oregon, and we wish her and the family the very best in their new home and schools. So I have a certificate for you, Jamie. I'd like to read it aloud. In recognition of your dedicated service to the students, staff, and families of the Carpinteria Unified School District, for your commitment and devotion to the power of our public schools, for your leadership, compassion, and dedication to the lives of students and their families, and for your belief in the success of every employee and student, the Board of Trustees and the entire school community offer their heartfelt thanks and appreciation to Jamie Bray. There you go. Thank you.
Good job, Teresa.
I got a picture too. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Amy, I just, I'd like to,
President, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, no, finish.
I'd just like to thank you for being on the board these 4 years and providing such good leadership to us and the community. And you are going to be missed for sure.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be on the board, and had I not been moving, I'd stay on for years to come, so.
I just have to say that 4 years ago, when we were both elected to the board, and you and I trekked down to San Diego,
Yeah.
and probably spent
Our trip to San
more
Diego.
time in the car driving to San Diego than we did for the conference that we went to. But not only did we learn a whole lot, but it was very fun to get to know you. And it's been a pleasure to have you on the board and your masterful leadership as chairperson this last year.
Appreciate that. All right.
President Bray, I'm sorry, we did have a public comment for the honoring the retirees.
Oh, okay.
Union President Jay Hodgson.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Turn this way if I may. Look, union leadership couldn't be more honored to be associated with these exceptionally talented individuals. Each one, Darcy, Mary, Kathleen, Deb, Teresa, each one, right, has provided the district service well beyond the fiscal and contractual expectations required of any district employee. In fact, it's almost laughable to put it into those terms. All you need to do to understand the accuracy of that statement is to watch them walk down Linden Avenue on any given day and bear witness to the number of times they are stopped, greeted, cheered, and or positively recognized by both current and past students and their families. Each one of these retirees chose to make the business of public education their profession. They dedicated themselves to that profession, often at great cost to their personal time, their energy, and their own personal resources. And by all accounts, each has succeeded tremendously. Union leadership remains so proud to advocate for both these professionals and the professions they chose. It is our honor to request, and if needed, even fight for the workplace conditions that supported the service that these outstanding employees have provided, even if we must endure mischaracterizations or look strident and difficult in the process. As we've shared at recent meetings, the option to turn our backs on your needs and the needs and interests of other district employees is not an option at all. And like these teachers and counselor did for so many years, union leadership also remains determined, engaged, and positive about the future we are committed to create. Thank you again, Darcy and Teresa Thank you again, Kathleen and Deb. And there's one more there. Yes, thank you. Sorry, Mary. And thank you again, Mary, also. Really, you are an inspiration to us. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move along to item E3. We have our student representative report.
Alrighty. Carpenter High School had a successful prom and after prom on Saturday, May 21st. Over 200 students had a night full of dancing and fun. We want to thank ASB, Miss Bravo, and Mr. Dolan, our advisors, and all the chaperones who attended, parents for CHS, and the community members for making these events happen. Next week is senior finals, and the last day of class for 2022 will be June 2nd. On Friday, June 3rd, senior class will travel to Six Flags Magic Mountain for grad night, and their departure, students will enjoy a tri-tip dinner hosted by the Carpinteria Lions Club. On Monday, June 6th, the class of 2022 will be hosting a movie night at CHS, and on Tuesday, June 7th, we will be traveling to Skating Plus Ventura. Finals for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students will be held June 7th, 8th, 9th, and all 3 days will be minimum days. Graduation will be held June 9th at 6 p.m. at Carpinteria Valley Memorial Stadium. We expect a large crowd at graduation, so please arrive early. Summer school begins on June 13th and ends on July 8th. The hours of summer school will be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Any students with an F in math or English are required to attend summer school. And this will be my last board meeting as a student rep, so I just wanted to thank the board members and Mr. Concejo and the school board and everybody for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I also appreciate all of you and the wonderful ladies to my left. And next year I'm going to be attending Santa Barbara City College and majoring in psychology. And then, as I mentioned earlier before in a board meeting, hopefully transfer to UCLA or UCSB to pursue psychology and get my doctorate eventually. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Natalia. I'd just like to say it's been a pleasure watching you grow up and turn into a wonderful young lady. And I know you're going to be successful at whatever you choose to go into because of your passion and energy. And we all wish you all the best. And it'd be great if you stayed in touch with us and let us know how things are going.
We want to hear about that doctorate.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, item E4, we have our superintendent report.
Thank you, Jamie. So I'd like to begin with congratulations. Shanna Hargett, the Canalino School Counselor, was selected to receive this year's Santa Barbara County Office of Education Bill Cerrone Heart of Education Award, as she is an outstanding educator who demonstrates passion for her profession, creativity, and compassion for students. In addition, Nico Lopez, our Canalino instructional assistant, he also received a Santa Barbara County Education Office Award, the Crystal Apple Award, and the following teachers have received Santa Barbara County Education Office Teacher Network grants: Crystal Marshall, Canalino; Lucy Carlton, Kristen Gilbert, and Janelle Genovi at Manrique at the high school; Jessica Gala, Christina Eckert at the middle school; and Maria Espedia at the preschool, special education preschool. We have some more congratulations in that 5 CMS grade 7 students, Avery and Addison Galvez, Julia Maya, Ashley Aberca, and Mitzi Lagunas. They were all selected to attend the 1-week summer camp, Tech Trek, at UCSB that focuses on STEM education. CHS art student Nancy Camacho won an Award of Excellence in Drawing in this year's Student Art Fund online art show. And finally, our CHS boys volleyball team made their debut in CIF finals in Division 5 championship at Long Beach City College last Saturday. My next item is the second interim report and analysis. As required by Ed Code Section 42131, the Santa Barbara County Education Office has reviewed CUSD's second interim budget report and notified the State Department of Education and the State Controller that CUSD has filed a positive certification. CUSD will be able to meet its financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent fiscal years while maintaining the minimum required level reserve for economic uncertainties. In addition, the CDE has reviewed and approved CUSD's after-school education and safety program grant request for renewal for July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2025. Regarding the governor's budget proposals, the state revenues continue to defy projections, and schools and community colleges will receive a record $128 billion in funding in 2022-23 under Governor Gavin Newsom's revised state budget, which is at $300 billion. Which he presented last Friday. The TK to 12 budget includes a 10% increase in general funding under the local control funding formula. While CUSD does not receive LCFF funding, the allocation increases in one-time discretionary dollars, special ed, universal TK, universal meals program, expanded learning opportunities program, and categoricals will assist us in meeting some significant cost increase. My next item is our annual state testing. Annually, we administer the Smarter Balance summative assessments to students in grades 3 through 11 for English language arts and mathematics during May and June. The California Science Test is required for students in grades 5, 8, and once in grades 10, 11, or 12. The California Alternative Assessment for ELA and math is for students with the most significant cognitive disabilities who are unable to participate in the Smarter Balance summative assessments. The primary purpose of the CASP system is to assist teachers and administrators, students, and parents by promoting high-quality teaching and learning through the use of a variety of assessment approaches and item types. There is more information on the CASP webpage, and the assessment system chart also lists the tests for 21-22 by subject content, test name, test type, student participation groups, grade levels, and testing window time frame. My next item refers to our staff recruitment for the next school year. We are recruiting for the following certificated positions: Director of Special Education, a speech and language pathologist, an elementary teacher, 2 special ed teachers, and culinary arts and math teachers at the high school. And we continue to recruit for classified positions in instructional assistants, bus drivers, custodians, and food service workers. Another exciting program is our Summer Student Wellness Program for teens, and that is a partnership with Carp Connect. We're also collaborating with the City of Carpinteria, County Public Health, Behavioral Wellness, HopeNet, CADA, FSA, CCP, Pacific Pride, and YouthWell to provide ongoing mental health services to CMS and CHS students during the summer. In addition, a variety of classes, including cooking, hiking, multimedia, art, drama, journal writing, and podcast development, will also be offered by local professionals and agencies. I have some good news in that the First 5 Commission approved our Early Learning Implementation Grant in the amount of $252,000 for the next 3 years. CUSD is partnered with Carpenter Children's Project to develop the early learning plan to improve early childhood education and to strengthen family support structures. We also have our calendar for the award nights and promotions and graduation dates. We have the Muses production coming up Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Senior awards will be June 2nd. Graduation for SEALs will be June 7th. Our 5th grade promotion for Canalino and Family School is June 8th. Aliso School, June 9th. Summerlin, June 9th as well. Later in the morning, Carpenter Middle School, 8th grade promotion is June 9th at 3, and Carpenter High School graduation, June 9th at 6 o'clock in the stadium. And then the last item is Measure U. The 2nd classroom slab for Summerlin School has been poured. Walls were built on the tennis courts in advance, ready for placement, and have been going up rapidly. The lower classroom building is ready for siding and roofing, which will begin in next week, and the project is on schedule for the December move. The CHS administration building continues interior work, including painting, mechanical, tile, and electrical lighting. The exterior trim is also being painted CHS red. The exterior walls, walkways, and planters required tear out due to faulty structural integrity and have now been re-poured successfully. The Summerlin Tennis Court project has been cleared to move forward. It does not require any DSA approvals. The plans are currently in the estimating process, and once those estimates are received and the price and scope of the project are finalized, the district will work with the county to determine if we're required to have a CDP or a CUP. The Canalino modernization is moving forward with teachers packing classrooms, and the movers are ready on the afternoon of June 8th, and construction will begin the afternoon and evening of June 9th. 2 full construction teams will be working to complete the admin building, room 1, and the NPR with 1 team, and the early childhood learning center and with another team. It will be a busy summer for the Measure U team. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana.
We do have a public comment from Union President Jay Hochner.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Once again, the union would like to remind the school board that we facilitated surveys on district administrators this year, as we do every year. And we do this to better clarify the relationship and performance of these district leaders, like Superintendent Rigby. This evening, we are notifying the school board that we will soon be sharing the employee surveys associated with Superintendent Rigby's performance from the perspective of those she leads, or shall we say supervises. The results of the employee survey on Superintendent Rigby, unfortunately, are genuinely concerning. Although the union would routinely bring them directly to her, we regret that didn't appear to be an option this time. As the school board is aware, the State of California's Public Employee Relations Board, the California agency charged with upholding public employees' labor rights, recently found that the CUSD, under Superintendent Rigby, has been discriminating and retaliating against union leadership. Retaliation up to and including the threat of discipline that would lead to termination. On matters of workplace conditions, the employee union simply does not believe we have a genuine audience with the superintendent. We do not anticipate a great deal of reflection there. Therefore, the union is compelled to provide yourselves, the 5 school board trustees, the survey results directly, and we will be releasing them shortly via email. For those in the community interested in reviewing these survey results, please feel free to contact us at cause.cusd@gmail.com. Thank you.
All right. Moving along to item E5, we have a Measure U annual report by Mr. Blair.
Well, good evening, board members. On a positive note, I'm Gary Blair, and I'm chairman of the 2021 Measure U Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, and it's my pleasure to just briefly share with you the annual report. Although we went through 2 pretty challenging years for our students, our staff, and community due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it's gratifying to now see that we have our students back in school. The Measure U projects were able to continue, however, during this challenging period of time. These projects did experience their own challenges, which included workforce shortages and material delays, to name a few. But in spite of those challenges, it was a very successful year for completing our projects. As you know, 8 years ago in 2014, Carpinteria voters approved the Carpinteria Unified School District to issue up to $90 million in bonds, general obligation bonds, to update the district's facilities, the infrastructure, and our technology. To date, CUSD has issued all $90 million in bonds and completed nearly $70 million in projects across our district's several campuses. These figures are through the end of the 2020-21 fiscal year, which ended June 30th, 2021. The audit report presented is also for the 2020-21 fiscal year. During this time, the Measure U team completed about $12.7 million in projects. These included classroom modernization and renovation of the Carpinteria High School gym, and classroom and restroom modernization at the Aliso Elementary School. The completion of these projects positively impacts our students, our teachers, and staff daily as they benefit from updated facilities, technology, and general improvements to our school site. I'm pleased to report that for the 2021 fiscal year, CUSD has once again received positive ratings on all independent financial and compliance audits related to the expenditures of our Measure U bond funds. The Citizens Bond Oversight Committee also reports full compliance with all Measure U Proposition 39 requirements as reported by the independent auditor. You know, there's a funny old saying that an auditor is someone who tries to solve a problem you didn't know you had, and in a way you don't understand. But putting all humor aside, in our case, there was not even a single problem, and the report can be clearly understood. As outlined by the Measure U funding requirements, our Oversight Committee holds public meetings 3 times a year to review Measure U expenditures, and ensure that all bond funds are being used for construction and renovation projects. The CBOC is an advisory committee, and it will continue to work with the district to monitor all bond-related projects while they are planned, budgeted, and executed. During the current 21-22 fiscal year, a new administration office will be completed at the high school, and the new Summerland School began construction. These are major projects that are critically important to smooth operations at those schools. As chair of the Measure U committee, I wish to acknowledge and thank all members of our committee for their dedicated service. I also wish to recognize Denver Compton, who served on the committee since 2018 and has now reached his term limits. Additionally, I, along with Jennifer Cota, have agreed to serve a second-year term. Special thanks and congratulations go out to the CUSD board, administration, teachers, staff, and students for all of their work on these projects, which have dramatically improved our school facilities. Everyone has been and will continue to be impacted as construction takes place on our campuses. Watching the retirement ceremony earlier this evening, I recognized Ms. Gruner and Ms. Campbell, who were, my daughters were part of the class of 2018, graduating class, and they remember them well, and they were great to have. I can't say enough good things about them. My daughters received a very good education here at Carpinteria School System and in the high school, which I think well prepared them for college. I was thinking about that as I had the pleasure of watching them 2 weeks ago graduate with their Bachelor of Science degrees from UC Berkeley and Cal Poly Humboldt. And they told me that the only regret they had from attending CHS was that they weren't able to experience the wonderfully renovated facilities that you now have in place here. But that's the way it goes, and I'm glad we also have the softball batting cages, which they would love to have had. These Measure U projects have really completely transformed each of the CUSD school sites into modern, efficient, and beautiful educational facilities of which we can all be very proud. We should acknowledge the time, the effort, the energy spent by all people who were involved throughout this process. The accomplishments are really great. I hope and encourage that everyone will continue to review and follow the work of our Measure U team and tour the campuses. I've been through every one except I think the middle school, and it's really phenomenal, the improvements. And view our CUSD board meetings and visit the Measure U website. The website's at www.cusd.net/department/facilities. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Blair?
Go ahead. I just wanted to thank you, Gary, for providing the leadership for this committee. And it's always reassuring to know that there are folks like you and other committee members who are there looking out for the interests of the community and assuring that we are maintaining our fiduciary responsibility of district money, and that the administrators are as well. So I just want to thank you because I know you take this position very seriously, as does the rest of the committee, and I know our community is well served by you all.
Well, thank you for the kudos. I appreciate it very much.
And congratulations on your daughters.
Oh, thank
Really?
you.
Yeah,
I'm obviously a proud parent.
Oh, yeah, that's outstanding.
She's exciting.
Outstanding.
All right.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the Measure U report?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, before I move on, Maureen, would you do me a giant favor and close those curtains? I'm absolutely getting blinded by reflection off the cars. Yes.
We cannot close this.
They won't close?
These won't close? These will.
Those are fine. Okay, if it's, maybe Mr. Blair can just move his head over, block it.
No,
All right.
block it.
It's fine, don't worry about it. I'll squint.
You want to switch spots?
No, it's fine. Okay, item E6 is our 2022 local performance indicators presentation.
Thank you.
Just move over this way. Sorry.
Okay, so annually, we're required to present our local performance indicators. And I will move right to the performance standards. We have to confirm that we have appropriately assigned teachers, access to curriculum-aligned instructional materials, safe, clean, and functional school facilities, that we're implementing the state academic standards, we are engaging parents and families, we have positive school climates, and our students have access to a broad course of study. So when we look at our current evaluation we're in the next slide, appropriately assigned teachers, we have misassignments of teachers of English learners. We have 5 misassignments because we have teachers who are teaching DLI who are earning their B-CLAD and have not completed their B-CLAD yet. So that's what the misassignment's related to. They are required to have a B-CLAD. For the next priority, it's implementation of state academic standards in all the core areas. And we have completed implementation for most of the state standards with history, social science. We've implemented the state standards, but we're piloting material curriculum at the middle school level. And they continue in the second year of their pilot, and then they'll determine new curriculum for social studies. The next item is related to our progress in making sure that our instructional materials are aligned to our academic standards and that the materials are available in all classrooms where the subject is taught. The next criteria is our progress in implementing policy or programs to support staff in identifying areas where they can improve in delivering instruction related to the alignment of the adopted standards and curriculum frameworks. We are full implementation in all our content areas with the exception of ELD. We are beginning our implementation at the elementary level. We have ELD programs at the middle school and high school, but we will be piloting new curriculum materials for ELD at the secondary level. The next criteria is a priority 2, and it's related to implementing each of the academic standards in all the content areas. And we have full implementation in CTE and PE, and we're working towards full implementation for health, visual performing arts, and world language. The next item is related to supporting teachers and administrations with professional development, and that's identifying the professional learning needs of teachers as a whole, so grade level teachers, department, and then for individual teachers, specifically focusing on our new teachers, and then providing support for teachers on standards they've not yet mastered. And we're at the initial implementation for the professional development. The next item relates to parent and family engagement, and that's our current stage of implementation for each of the progress for each practice, and that's developing the capacity of staff to build trusting and respectful relationships, as well as providing welcoming environments for families, supporting staff to learn about each individual family, as well as developing multiple opportunities for families to engage in two-way communication, specifically related to bilingual communication. Our priority 3, our family engagement, we use our Healthy Kids Survey to secure feedback from parents. And it's a strength that 82% of parents report that they feel welcome, but it's in the context that our schools were closed this first semester. So even though our schools were closed, parents still felt that they were welcome to participate. And our improvement area is to increase our participation of unrepresented families in our ELAC meetings. I'm pleased to note that in our last ELAC meeting at Aliso, we had over 24 families attend. So we're making progress. The next item continues to be a priority 3, and it's building partnerships with families related to student outcomes, and we've made progress for supporting teachers and principals to improve their capacity to partner with families. We provide families with information and resources to support learning. We hold conferences, 2 conferences every year at the elementary, and we have open house both at the middle school and the high school. And our teachers frequently, they respond daily to emails with parents, but frequently they meet with parents when there are any concerns. And 83% of our parents report that schools encourage parents to be an active partner in the child's education. And again, our improvement is our underrepresented parents. I'm happy to report that for conferences, close to 100% of our parents respond at the elementary level, and then as we move up into the secondary level, participation does drop off, but we still had a number of families this year when we opened schools attend to our open house in the spring, both at the middle school and the high school. The next item relates to parent and family engagement, seeking input for decision-making. We have several parent committees at each site. We have site council, we have ELAC, we have a DLAC group, we have parent support groups, and then at the district level, we have a district advisory parent meeting. And in all of those meetings, our goal is to build capacity and support parents to participate in decision-making for school site as well as for district-wide decisions. And our evaluation is that 75% of our parents report that schools allow and welcome parent input. And again, our major focus for improvement is to increase underrepresented families, both on school site councils and in the parent support groups. Our next priority is a positive school climate, and again, we use the California Healthy Kids Survey. We survey students in grades 7, 9, and 11, and it provides a valid measure of perception of school connectedness and safety. Our students rated school connectedness pretty high, 80%, 84, 86, 87%. We increased our rate of student perception of school safety, 90, 97, and 95, and a higher rate of academic motivation, 88%, 89, and 86%. So those are strengths. And we continue to focus on increasing a positive school climate and meaningful participation, because you'll recall that on our Healthy Kids Survey, our rating of meaningful participation from students is lower. It's still in the 50s and 60%. So that's an area that we want to continue to improve. And I brought tonight, I wanted to read some of the questions that are related to participation, so you get a sense of what meaningful participation we're talking about. It's a composite score of these questions. At school, I do interesting activities. I help decide things like class activities. I do things that make a difference. I have a say in how things work in the classroom. I help decide school activities and rules. So those are the questions that they're answering when they're evaluating their participation, meaningful participation. And then we, for priority 6 for positive school climate, the question is what has been implemented at the middle school and high school levels to increase the positive school climate. At the middle school, there's a daily advisory period, and they use the 7 habits of highly effective teens. There's an active ASB student leadership that promotes student voices. At the middle school, they've implemented the PBIS strategies. At the staff meetings, they have training in social emotional learning for district staff from the AHA staff. Middle school has implemented a social skills curriculum in grades 7 and 8. They hold regular assemblies for student recognition. We have weekly early release time for teacher collaboration for their professional learning communities, as well as to adjust their instructional practices. And we are providing an AHA Peace Builders after school program for student leaders. The last priority is access to a broad course of study. And we use our ARI system to track course selection and enrollment for students, and that includes all students, unduplicated students and students with exceptional needs, and all of our students have access to all of our courses of study. And we have no difference across schools or student groups in the enrollment. And because we don't provide, there are no barriers to student access, there's no need to create any new actions or revisions. Would you have any questions on the local indicators?
I have just a couple questions. What changes, so a rating of a 4 is full implementation, a 5 is full implementation and sustainability. So what holds us back from sustainability in a lot of these categories? What keeps us at a 4?
The amount of resources that we're supporting that implementation.
Okay.
So once it's sustainable, it becomes part of our regular budgeting, and we don't need additional resources to ensure that there's full implementation across all the classes in that particular grade level or across all departments.
Okay.
Across all teachers in one department.
Okay. And then, thank you for elaborating on meaningful participation, but what are some of the questions for schools, the school safety questions that could, it was a good rating, but I just want to know, where was it?
I
Do you have-
believe, I don't have it in my handouts, but I do believe is, do you feel safe at school?
Yeah.
It's one of those questions.
Is it just one question?
It's one question, it's not
Okay,
a
it's not a,
composite.
it's not a, okay,
No.
that was my question.
No.
Because, I mean, in today, or this year, like, what does that mean even? Is it COVID related? Is it
Right.
bullying? Is it, there's so many different factors that I'm sure
Yes.
these kids are trying to, like, what constitutes safe right now in my mind? And so, I was wondering if there was more than one question, if it broke it out and to try and maybe pinpoint what it is.
As I recall, it's a composite, but I will have to check that.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Reuse that.
I just had a couple of questions.
Sure.
So, a lot of times these surveys are somewhat misleading because of the number of respondents.
Yes.
So I'm curious how many parent responses we got
For the,
as a percentage of.
yes, it was a low percentage,
It was a low percentage.
very low. However, not for students.
Students were high.
Students were high.
So-
And for staff, it was high for elementary, but lower for secondary.
Okay. The one that, I mean, it looks like most of the scores increased. The only one that strikes me, at least in the high school level, is the meaningful participation. That decreased, and it'd be interesting to see. I mean, that's just one answer, right? Or one question.
Well, it's the composite of those questions that
Yeah,
just shared,
but,
yes.
But do they, do you think that's COVID related, or do you think that's rigor?
Well, I don't think it's COVID related,
Yeah.
no. I think it's about students having choice of work that they're doing in the classroom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And have we addressed that with leadership, site leadership?
Yes, we've been discussing it for those.
And with I guess department chairs?
My understanding is from the secondary principals that they have been discussing it with their department chairs.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't, remember, we mentioned this last year.
Yeah, we did.
We've been talking about it for a year and a half.
Or longer.
So we've been talking about it at leadership team meetings, and then my understanding is that is then brought to the department chairs.
Okay. Because it's not, that is, doesn't.
Yes.
seem-
The one piece that I've asked for more research on is that I think it would be helpful if we could compare this to other secondary responses. Because my sense is that I don't think we're any different than the other high schools.
Other high schools.
So I think that would be helpful before we spend a lot of time on it.
True,
I think-
it's been a trend for
Yes,
quite some time
it
here,
has.
probably the last four years.
Yes.
5 years, well, actually probably longer than that, 7 years. Okay.
We've noticed it the last 2 years
Yeah.
that we've been working on. Any other questions about the local indicators?
I do believe we have a public comment on this. Is that correct, Monica?
Yes, sorry, Union President Jay Horchner.
We're going to retract on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on this one or comments? All right, we're gonna move right along to item E7. This is our 22-23 Local Control Accountability Plan. This will be our first reading, presented by.
Thank you. As you're aware, this was mandated as of 2014, and it is our three-year plan in which we revise annually, and it aligns our resources from our budget to our priorities as well as our annual goals. And it reflects how we're choosing to allocate our budget. The state has identified priorities, which we respond to, and the LCAP then is used as the overarching umbrella for the single plans for student achievement that you will be presented with by the principals from their school sites. And to remind you that the key focus is on economically disadvantaged English learner and foster youth students. The state has identified 8 priorities: student achievement, other student outcomes, course access, implementation of state standards, parent involvement, student engagement, school climate, and basic access to curriculum and materials. We begin with district demographics. Our enrollment, as you know, has declined. Our English learners also has declined. Socioeconomic disadvantage has increased. Student with disabilities has increased. And then our ethnic breakdown is pretty much stable. So I will remind you, this is the results from last year, and you'll know that we spent half the year during COVID. So we were challenged with the achievement, although 46% of grade 5 met and exceeded the CASP ELA standards, 52% of grade 8, and 50% of grade 11, and that is statewide average is 50%. So we're close to statewide. What is concerning, of course, is math. Only 27% of grade 5 met the standards, 21% of grade 8, and 11% of grade 11. Now, not all students took the CASP as well, you recall last year.
What's the state average for math? Do you know?
It's higher than, it's closer to 40%. 18% of our English learners were designated by grade 5, 14% of English learners scored a 4 in the LPAC, and 22% remain long-term English learners. We had a lower average daily attendance, we had higher chronic absenteeism, we had a 7% suspension rate and 0.2% expulsion. And if we continue with college and career, we had a 91.4% graduation rate. Only 42% met the AG requirements. 58.2% were enrolled in CTE. 54.7% were enrolled in AP honors. 55.6% were considered college career ready. 13.2% earned the state seal of biliteracy, and 2% were high school dropouts. So we had a pretty high participation rate for our Healthy Kids Survey, higher at the 7th grade than 9th and 11th. But you'll see that we pretty much stayed the same with an increase with academic motivation. And then you'll see that meaningful participation is still concerning. Our scores are really depressed regarding the parent survey because schools were closed. But you'll see the remaining, the school promotes academic success, school motivates students to learn. It's pretty much the same.
Now, the district goals are developed from this data as well as the data we've collected throughout our weekly meetings at the leadership team. So our first goal is to increase student learning with high-quality standards-based instruction that is differentiated for every student. So we do expect more than 60% of our students will master grade level standards at 5, 8, and 11 as measured on the CASP. And we expect more than 50% of students on CASP in grades 5, 8, and 11 will achieve the grade level proficiency in math. And we expect that more than 50% of our English learners will be redesignated by grade 5, and more than 50% of English learners will score a 4 on the LPAC, and we need to decrease our long-term English learner rate to less than 10%. And these are our planned action services, and they're organized by elementary and then middle school and high school. So for elementary, we've reduced the elementary student-teacher ratio 20-1 for individualized and personalized learning. We're expanding the dual language immersion program, K4 at Canalino and K1 at Aliso next year. We'll be implementing reading intervention instruction for elementary and middle school students performing below grade level. We provide targeted small group instruction both in reading and math. We've implemented a daily 30-minute designated ELD instruction for EL students. We monitor weekly student progress, and we revise instruction in reading and math to increase their achievement. And we're providing elementary professional development in English language arts, ELD, math, and the Lucy Calkins writing strategies. We've implemented STEM ELD instruction for EL students in grades 4 and 5, and we use our Bridges unit assessments to monitor math progress and provide additional math support with the Bridges intervention curriculum. We believe with all those activities that we've allocated funds from the budget to, that they will help students increase their achievement in reading, writing, and math. At the middle school level, we've implemented performance level grouping for advanced math and English at the middle school. We monitor the student academic progress using the grade reports to determine intervention. We are now providing daily explicit ELD instruction both at the middle school and the high school, and those are for the EL students to increase their English proficiency. We've been able to provide after-school academic tutoring in English and math, and that's with our own teachers for CMS students, and that's what makes the difference. It's our own teachers providing the academic tutoring. And then our principal coaches teachers to improve instructional skills for differentiating for different levels in the classroom, academic levels. At the high school, we are providing academic intervention and counseling support for the CHS students in the Student Success Center. We also progress monitor by implementing and analyzing common interim assessment data that helps us inform our instructional practices. And then we meet weekly with a leadership team, that's with the principals and special ed director, to monitor school improvement efforts to make adjustments. Would you have any questions or comments about those activities?
I actually have a question in regard to the truancy rate.
Yes.
So just to boil that down, we have 27% of our students are missing a month of school.
Yes.
And I mean, that's incredibly, that's really disturbing to me.
Yes, but the one thing I'd point out is that data is from at the beginning of this year. So we did have pandemic. I mean, when you're out sick, that's part of it, that you've been absent.
Well, that's not true, and that's an excuse.
It's not true, and it is, but it's part of the chronic absenteeism. They count it as part of chronic absenteeism when you're out ill.
Even
Yeah.
excused?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
But however, you're making a good point.
But the truancy,
Yes.
I know our truancy
Yes.
numbers are high.
They are.
So and I know we've talked about this before, but have we approached the city again about having some sort of truancy officer? I know it's difficult with all the homeschool kids, but there has to be some mechanism for us to get those kids in school and make it less desirable to wander around town or to hang out at the park or whatever they're doing.
So there's several things that we're doing. First of all, the principals are monitoring, and the assistant principals and the counselors are monitoring the attendance rates of all the students, and they're calling families and they are scheduling individual meetings with families to find out what's getting in the way of students not coming to school. The next action we took is we hired a family social worker, and we were planning to hire one for each school site. We were only able to hire one that served Aliso and Canalino. And so she met with any family that was having difficulty, and she was providing resources through Carpenter Children's Project to get kids to school. So that really worked the first semester. But she unfortunately took another job, and they weren't able to replace her. But we still have in the budget social workers. The third item is we work closely with the district attorney's office. So for chronic truancy, they are involved in the SARB process.
There is, okay.
Yes. And then we have a new resource officer, and so he will be involved with helping us with families that need additional resources to get students to school.
Okay. Because I just know that those students are the ones that are struggling the most.
Yes, because they miss
And-
school.
Well, they miss school, they're falling behind, which then causes them to misbehave more in school and more disruptive, and it's a domino effect.
The key is really the partnership between the principal and the family, or the counselor and the family.
Yeah.
So it takes developing that partnership and finding the resources so that can help families to get their students to school. It's really about supporting parents to parent students so that students are at school.
Exactly. All right, thank you.
Our next goal is related to all students actively engage in learning and participate in a positive school culture in partnership with parents. So what we expect is more than 90% of our students will report a high level of school connectedness, academic motivation, high expectations, and meaningful participation. So it's the meaningful participation that continues to be an area of improvement. We expect that more than 95% of students, staff, and parents will report that our schools are safe and respectful. We expect parents to, more than 60% of our parents will be participating. Average daily attendance will be 97% or higher. Chronic absenteeism will be less than 5%. Suspension rate will be less than 1%, and expulsion rate will be 0. And the way that we are expecting to achieve those outcomes is to monitor daily student attendance and to intervene with individual students and parents. So that means making the phone calls, meeting with the parents, soliciting more resources to support the parents, using our family social worker if we have one, but the counselor to support the family. Our site mental health teams, they do meet weekly, and they also discuss chronic absenteeism and student needs. They monitor student well-being, and they also determine individual social emotional plans. So they also discuss therapeutic plans and provide therapy. We have counselors providing therapy, and we have mental health therapists, as well as referrals to the Children's Project. And school counselors, psychologists, and mental health therapists provide therapeutic services to students. We've implemented the positive behavior intervention strategies and a social emotional curriculum that will increase positive and respectful student behavior. Our AHA partnership, it provides professional development, particularly at the middle school and high school staff. And then we also have AHA's family support specialist to provide parent education for district parents. We've implemented daily morning meetings at the elementary to increase student voice. We've increased leadership opportunities both at the middle school and the high school so that students feel that they have a voice in decision-making. We've implemented restorative justice practices to replace suspensions. We've implemented a daily advisory program at the middle school to increase social skills and a positive school climate. School administrators meet regularly with school site council, school parent groups, and ELAC parent groups, and we provide monthly parent education for parents of students with disabilities. Questions about those planned activities or services?
So for the implementing restorative justice practices to replace suspensions and expulsions, what are some of those? Can you
Sure.
elaborate on that?
Sure. So it's more for suspension. So at the elementary level, we don't suspend students. Instead, the parents come to school the next day with the student for a violent act. At the middle school level, if it's not a violent act, but it's a rule is broken, the administrative team will determine what action would best restore the student being more positive in that area. So for example, if they've done graffiti, they have to clean the graffiti walls and do some cleaning. But we also ask parents of middle school families of students to also come to school. So it really, it's up to the administrative team to find a practice that matches the severity of the transgression.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The next goal is all students will graduate from high school, college, and career ready. And our expected outcome is that 100% of our seniors will graduate from high school, and that 60% will meet AG requirements, will enroll in AP honors courses, will take CTE courses, and will be college and career ready. We expect at least 20% will earn the state seal of biliteracy, and we expect to be at 0% of a dropout rate. Our planned actions include we have all grade 9 students participate in Get Focused, Stay Focused program, and they develop a 10-year plan for college and career. The CMS we've implemented, it's not a new culinary elective, it is a robotics elective to increase participation in the robotics courses at CHS Engineering. Counselors and teachers increase the outreach effort to increase student enrollment in CTE courses. Our CHS counselors have provided parent workshops to prepare parents for college admission cycle to increase the college participation. We have students in grades 9 and 10. They participate in college field trips and college activities to increase their college participation. And we are focusing on increasing student enrollment both at the middle school and high school level in the AVID classes. We are increasing our dual enrollment and city college courses to accommodate more students, so they'll be enrolled in the dual enrollment courses. And then we've increased our credit recovery opportunities for students in the Student Success Center. We also are increasing our student enrollment in Spanish courses, both at the middle school and at the high school. We added an additional Spanish teacher to increase the number of students to meet the requirements of the state seal of biliteracy. And then the last goal is related to facilities, that they're well-maintained and updated. So we expect that 95% of students and staff will report that schools are clean and well-maintained, and that's as measured by the Healthy Kids Survey. And we're in the process of rebuilding Summerlin School, which will be done in December. The new CHS administration building will be done in August, and we will complete the Catalino modernization by the time school starts in August. Our school site principals, they supervise our custodians and monitor the daily cleanliness. That's our activities. And then the Measure U team, they monitor the progress of the building projects. Teachers are using updated technology tools to increase technology. And then our all our employees complete the Hour Zero emergency online training.
Okay, thank you, Diana.
Yes.
Does the board have any questions for Diana on this item? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open a public hearing on the local control accountability plan for the 22-23 school year. Any public comment, Monica? All right, that's closed. We'll move on to item E9, the 22-23 proposed adopted budget presentation. This will be our first reading, our presentation by Ms. Fitzgerald.
Okay, so we are going to, this is no longer the projected, we are in our proposed budget. This is the budget that is presented before it's adopted at the next meeting. So I'll go over briefly our mission. CUSD, in partnership with community and parents, believe all students can learn and are capable of being successful in our diverse society. We are committed to providing a quality education program in a caring, positive environment which promotes self-esteem and mutual respect. This will provide our students with the necessary skills to be responsible citizens, to lead happy, productive lives, and meet the exciting challenges of the 21st century. I think we do a really good job at that. Our core values, which have resonated especially throughout the pandemic, is to focus on academic achievement, have a respectful community, and continuous improvement. And I think that that is both for students and staff. Our goals are to increase student learning. You just heard through the LCAP how we propose to do that on an ongoing basis. Promote safe and respectful schools. Develop budgets to support the educational program while maintaining stability. Increase effectiveness and efficiency of district operations, and build community support and engagement. Our core budgeting principles, the students and their learning are at the center of our decisions, and I'll talk about that as we go on the budget presentation. Teaching and learning conditions matter for student success. Requested resources for programs, services, and activities reflect the core values of academic achievement, respectful community, and continuous improvement. And then, of course, that we are always mindful of our board policy that desires a 10% reserve. Our timeline, we start developing our budget early in the year in January, sometimes in December. We provide updates to the board on a monthly basis. We meet regularly in leadership, and I also work independently with some of our site leaders on the budget and learning how to present it. We meet with teacher groups. The principals do present to their teacher groups and staff the budget as it's been presented to you, the board. We collect input for developing the budget, and then we began presenting the budget in this format in February. There are really specific timelines that drive our budget. In January, the governor proposes his new year budget beginning the next fiscal year. That is the framework for what we do in our budget. Now that largely impacts LCFF districts. However, it does also impact us on the requirements that we have to meet with supplemental and concentration grant, LCAP, et cetera. And we also start looking at trends for property taxes. By then we would have had our fall projections, and that will drive our future year. And then in February, we start bringing it to the board. In March, we start identifying all of our staffing needs. And that's also a deadline for layoff notifications for both classified and certificated. And then in April, we receive our CISC benefit rates for the new year. And then we also receive our projected P2 property taxes. Our property taxes are updated only 4 times a year. We get our, when we look at 22-23, we get our 22-23 property tax projections next October. So we won't get those until we've started the fiscal year. We get P1 somewhere around late December, and we'll get P2 sometime late April. And then we close our property taxes. We get the final about around the second week of July as we're closing our books. Because we are a teeter district, which means that when we get our October projections, that is, with the exception of prior year adjustments, which can impact impounds and stuff, that is our property taxes. We don't receive our actual tax receipts as was presented by the county. It's a formula by the county, so it's pretty stable. And we are guaranteed that amount regardless of what's been collected. So it can go both ways. I mean, some years it may not be as high, but that's how we receive our property taxes. And then in May, the governor presents his May revise for the new year, and that often will have changes, especially this year. As the last 2 years, the state has seen a windfall of revenue, largely impacting Prop 98 and LCFF districts. In the governor's May revision, they did talk about some one-time monies coming to schools, and I'll talk about that when we get into the 22-23 budget. Today we're holding our public hearing, and then at the next board meeting, June 14th, we will present our adoption for board approval. The legislature has until June 15th to approve the budget as presented or make changes. And then the governor has until June 30th to sign it. So we don't know exactly what we're going to get until after we've had to adopt our budget, which means we have 45 days beyond that to revise it. So the governor's proposal, as was presented a week ago, was presenting a COLA for LCFF of 6.56. The LCFF has been around for about 10 years now, and it has never been anything more than 1 or 2. So that is monumental. Our property taxes are stable at about 5%. They may go up or down fractionally, but they're pretty stable at about a 5%. Our pension increases continue to go up, with the exception of CalSTRS. They did, when they adopted their rates a couple years ago, they did cap the 22-23 rate for the next 3 years. So that's pretty stable. However, PERS continues to go up, with the exception of next year they do have a rate hold. So it's just slightly lower. Our statutory benefits tell you how much on a dollar we pay for benefits for classified and certificated. For next year, it will be just under 35% for classified and about 22% for certificated. Excuse me. This is just a sample cost of positions in the district. So I chose 3 categories: a classroom aide, a custodian, and a teacher. The classroom aide category encompasses all classroom aide classifications. We have classroom aide 1s, 2s, and 3s. This is a compilation of all of our classroom aides, all the salaries divided by the total FTE that we have in our budget, and that's about the average. Same with the custodians and the teachers. So this shows for a 6-hour aide, the total cost of the district is just over $60,000. For a custodian, it's just about $79,000, and for a teacher, it's about $110,000. And then below is our highest teacher salary range. I want to say that the highest teacher salary range, that's at the highest longevity step. Our property taxes projected for next year were based on the 21-22 P2 collection this current year, which we received, and that's the blue line, which is about a 5.13. I am projecting evenly the out years, including next year, a 5%. It didn't round, it's just kind of like very fractionally different. I think that's pretty safe. You can see when you look at the trend, with the exception of 17-18 and 18-19, if you combine those two, divide it by 2, it's just still about a 5. It was, that was during the Thomas fire, and so there was some advanced taxes depending on what the impact was of the Thomas fire. So that's pretty stable. We know that that is a stable source of income. I will tell you that although that's lower than the LCFF COLA, we are so far above what our LCFF calculation is. Even though that COLA is higher, we will still never fall down to LCFF. This is the 22-23 staffing FTE. This is not changed since it's been presented. It shows you all of the unrestricted general fund positions by site, by category. And then the 5-year cost of living increases. There are some anomalies. You can see the notes here, but the average for certificated is just under 2%, and for classified it's just over 2%. 5-year history of health and welfare. Again, this is where we have gotten really lucky. You can see in 2021, 21, 22, those are negative numbers. In 22, 23, this is actual. This is a locked-in rate. It's about a 2.2 on the district paid plan. And I explained at a previous meeting that the rates for health and welfare increases and the increases that we were anticipating could have gone badly with the pandemic the past couple of years. And what they found happened is routine medical treatment and procedures and surgeries was pretty much non-existent. So even though COVID was very high, it kind of leveled it out. So there's a concern moving forward now that people are going back and doing these things that had not happened for 2 years. On top of COVID still being a reality, is that going to like take the flat line and spike it? That's just an unknown. It also is a direct result of our Santa Barbara CISC group, which has a 4% swing under or over an average. So we have some districts like ours in the JPA that are at the low end of 2.2, and we have other districts that are at the high end at 11.2. It's an 8% swing. So we're lucky we're on the low, but for those that ended up on the high, it was really painful. So the JPA is considering flattening that a little bit instead of making it a 4 under 4 over, an 8% swing, maybe narrowing that to like a 6. But that's still something that will go through the JPA committee. Our current cost of health and welfare premiums are $20,286 for a full-time employee. The 5-year pension increases, you can just see what's happened with our retirement PERS and STIRS. It's just continued to rise. We did have a couple of breaks for 22-23 for PERS. The good news is investments are back up. So some of the rate increase was able to come a little bit down, but it's still an increase over prior year. I won't go through these too heavily. This is the 5-year unrestricted general fund. I will say the 21-22 and the 22-23 budgets will, in the unrestricted fund, will look a little bit differently. Mainly because of the fact that we were closed for so many months. You didn't have traditional operating costs. We were unable to hire certain levels of staff. So all of those factors impacted the fund balance. And this is happening statewide. District general funds are at higher reserve levels because of that. There's the caution that those are like one-time savings, because we're going to resume. We still have challenges in hiring certain positions, but we will resume, so that's not necessarily something that will be in perpetuity. And then our total general fund history is, again, largely affected by the COVID funds that have come into the district to the tune of $8 million. And then there are some other governor-directed funds that will increase that also. Special ed, you will see a decrease in the estimated actuals and the projected budget, mainly because of the inability to retain staff. So they were, when we were closed, we were not filling positions. We were doing a lot remotely, and that has carried into 21-22 and 22-23. So we also in 22-23 will have an increase to our AB 602 funds, which drive our actual revenue source, which is reducing our contribution just slightly. Our 5-year financial history, legal fees. I won't go over this in detail. Those that are circled in red pertain to employee matters and negotiations. And you can see in the little footnotes on the left of the slide what those entail. And then the charts. For 22-23, 81% of our total general fund comes from property taxes, which is a huge chunk of money. 7% from federal and 8% from state. Those are inflated because of COVID funds. So we still have COVID money that carry into the 22-23 year. And then the local revenue is where special ed revenue lies, coming from the SELPA. It's considered local because it's passed through from one agency locally to another. So that looks like it's a lot of local money, but it is mostly special ed. Our expenditure summary shows that 84% of our budget is now staffing. That also has increased because we have hired almost 18 FTE with COVID funds. So that shows a larger investment in salary and benefits. A very low amount in books and supplies. We have about 17% in services and operating budget. That includes utilities and property and liability insurance and all of the contracts and IT items. And then a small, no capital outlay, and then SELPA tuition and transfers out. That transfers out goes to deferred maintenance. This is my favorite chart that shows our function summary, how we use our money. So 57% of our money is going to direct services to students in classrooms, teachers and classroom aides. You have another near 20% going to support those students in site admin, counselors, psychologists, nurses, all of the other support, library media technicians, all the support services. We have general admin that includes all of the district office, all of the transportation services, all of the property and liability and all of those types of things, and then plant maintenance, that plant services are custodians and maintenance. So I think that gives a real good picture of the investment, which is the largest piece, 3/4 of this piece of the circle goes to direct student services, And then this explains what the colors are. So we start getting into actual numbers. We presented at second interim a proposed ending fund balance of about 8.8% at the bottom line. Estimated actuals is what we do every year to go through our budget and look at where we're spending, what lines will have some savings or unspent funds. We kind of do a sweep. It was not a whole lot of difference with the exception of special ed. We did get some additional special ed revenue this year that came late. We got that identified in late February, and that did help reduce the special ed contribution by about $100,000. So that's the majority of what the savings is, estimating a 9.24% reserve at the end of the current year. And then this is how you see whether unrestricted and restricted are balanced, and then the total general fund at the total. I want to talk about the restricted column in the middle. You see where it has excess, an increase or decrease in services. It's a negative. That's how you spend fund balance. So with categoricals and restricted money, they will give you all $5 million and you'll have 4 years to spend it. You spend it by net deficiting the balance. You receive it in 1 year, you spend it over 4, and it will always reflect that negative. So when you see in the total general fund a negative, it's going to always be, right now, restricted programs spending that balance down. You'll see unrestricted is an excess, so we are not spending all of our revenue at this point. And then getting into the 22-23 budget assumptions. Our goal is for a positive certification for the current and 3-year and 2-year subsequent years. That is the law under AB 1200. We are estimating ending revenue for 21-22 to be about $23 million. We've increased our property taxes by 1.289. We are increasing charter school in lieu property taxes that we paid in 21-22 that we are not going to pay in 22-23. So that revenue goes back in. We remove COVID testing grant that we received in the current year. We don't have it next year, so it gets removed. And then we have additional special ed funds for next year that will decrease our contribution. So that net is an increase to our revenue base of about $1.1 million and ending with a $24.1 million unrestricted revenue for 22-23. The drivers, step and column, $241,000, health and welfare, we have that locked in at the district paid rate of $97.7. We have several position control changes that are identified here. Property and liability insurance did go up quite considerably, 25% increase. That's been highest that I've ever seen it. Utilities, we're estimating at about a 5%. I will probably at year end reevaluate that depending on if the governor does some restrictions on watering and the water rates are escalating. We have the one-time revenue we took out of 76. We take out the expense of 76,000. We expired our bus lease this year, so we don't have to pay that next year. That also comes out of expenditures. We are not going to have to pay that. And then we have one-time purchases of equipment and supplies that were unique to this current year related to COVID that we are not going to have next year. And then indirect costs are what we charge categorical programs for administering the program. We'll increase that by a little over 100,000. So our drivers that are going to increase expenditures is only 94.2. And at the bottom left, a footnote, our 1% cost of living is about $204,000. And that is not incorporated in these numbers. We are not proposing any program improvements. We have used our COVID money very robustly to improve instructional support, both in the classroom and with pull-out, and in a lot of other areas. We are not proposing any reductions at this time. So when you bring the ending, proposed ending balance forward for expenditures of 22.7, we add our drivers, we end up with 22.8 in expenditures, only a 0.4 increase for expenditures when we had about a 5% increase in revenue. So putting that all together, we have a projected ending balance in 22-23 of 4.7 million, which is a 13.63% reserve. This is how it looks, both breaking out unrestricted and restricted for the total general fund. And you will see the decrease or increase in services above the fund balance is a positive number by $1 million. That is directly related to the increase in revenue, much higher than the increase in expense. And then our multi-year, the current year, we're estimating ending the year of the 9.24. We've proposed ending the year in 22.3. We're projecting to 13.63. Looking at the 2 out years, adjusting step and column, adjusting increases in all of the other drivers that you saw earlier. We're looking at a 19.46 and a set 27.83 in the 2 subsequent years, quite high. I know this is very small to read on the screen, but this is a summary, updated summary of our COVID funds, the $8+ million spent through the current year, projected through June 30th. So I want to, the bottom 3, I want to kind of explain the lines, the solid black and the green. So the solid black is where nothing got spent. The black lines on the bottom, the 2 before the bottom, are where we started to spend those COVID funds. So they did go back to the beginning of March, but we didn't start spending them until we actually received the money. And then the green is how long we still have to spend them. We've exhausted everything in the black up above. Those have been fully expended. And on the final slide is a summary of the staffing that we have added, and these are all current positions that are in the budget with COVID funds. And you can see at every school site, it has greatly improved both instructional and support services for our kids and our sites, just over 18 point FTE. And with that, that's our 22-23 proposed budget.
All right, any questions for Maureen? Must have been thorough enough. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and open a public hearing on the 22-23 budget for the Carpenter Unified School District. Do we have any public comment?
We do, Union President Jay Hochner.
Okay.
Let me know when. Thank you. So first, a question. The union is aware of slide 18. You're welcome to put that back up if you like. And how slide 18, and how it itemizes the district's extraordinary legal costs under the superintendent's supervision. Is there a slide that clarifies how the decision to spend over $1 million, specifically $1,265,000, to silence the voices of district employees and their representatives improves student outcomes. Is that slide included in your presentation? I don't think so, huh? Second, union leadership reminds the community that this presentation is based on budget projections. It doesn't take much analysis to confirm, and we do each year, that the CUSD's proposed budgets have historically misrepresented the district's fiscal condition based on the political messaging the district is determined to promote. It is no surprise that we enter the bargaining season, or as we enter the bargaining season, that the district's figures appear to reflect the same trend the district has engaged in for several years, underestimating revenues and overestimating expenditures. The effect of this accounting trick is to drive down district reserves each year, years out. We see this consistently every year, so as to claim that there isn't sufficient money to invest in things like student programs, lower class sizes, more rigorous safety initiatives, and better campus supervision at the secondary level, to develop a standing substitute pool by pursuing more competitive compensation values, to commit to more competitive salary schedules for permanent employees, and to improve employee access to health care packages that promote both professional loyalty and community health, all of which remain priorities for union leadership. Finally, union leadership is compelled to remind the district, CUSD personnel and stakeholders that they cannot and should not rely on the 2022-23 draft calendar published by the CUSD. The district's decision to publish the draft calendar that only reflects the district's unilateral interests creates both confusion and unrealistic expectations for the community. One of those unrealistic expectations involves the district's proposal to increase the instructional service and instructional day of TKK teachers. You've seen that in the budget presentation, a scenario that neither the research nor faculty's experience suggests would be wise. But the union doesn't want to just say no, so we want to remind you that we've already provided the district a resolution to ensure that the calendar can be agreed upon. The resolution includes using extended learning monies to extend the after-school programs. Yes, would you like to share anything? No, okay. To extend the after-school programs using district personnel
Is there any
versus
other
forcing
comment,
them.
Monica?
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
no.
All right. Hearing is closed. We'll move on to item E11. This is a resolution number 22-898. Candidate statement of qualifications ordering governing board member election and notice to consolidate. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, this is a roll call.
Aaron.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
Sally.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
And I'm aye.
And my apologies. Do we have a public comment on this one?
We do. Union President Jay Hochner.
You're on E10 or E11?
E11.
Thank you.
E10 you just spoke on.
Great. I try not to memorize the agenda.
You should.
E11. Oh, yes. Great. Cause Leadership wants to remind the community that there could not be a Superintendent Rigby or the current management team and the current culture of violation were it not for the school board that pursues, hires, and stands behind this behavior. For those in the community who may be unaware, school board hires a single employee, just one, the superintendent. And from that hire, the entire culture of the district of our district operations flow. Each time there is a school board election, the members of the community have an opportunity to ask themselves whether the district is moving in a direction they value or not. It appears they're fed up, if you look behind me. Each time there is an election for a school board seat, there is an opportunity to vote for people you believe are not only capable of guiding the school district through the challenging times ahead, but are also willing and available to invest the time required to do so. We understand that school board positions may not be glamorous positions in the community, but they certainly have an outsized influence on the lives and productivity of district employees, daily operations, and both the current and future success of district students and families. In a town where the school district is directly involved with approximately 25% of the families in our community, be it as their educator, their employer, or their business partner, The impact of a talented and earnest board member can be extraordinary. But the question remains, extraordinarily positive or extraordinarily negative? If you're interested in pursuing one of these board member seats that will be open in November, union leadership encourages community members to contact us directly. We remind the members of the community that in this country, one may not always get what they deserve, but they are more likely to get what they are willing to work and sacrifice to achieve. Union leadership remains open to discussing district matters with any interested board candidates. Provided our confidence in the philosophies and work ethic of the potential candidates, we will also be considering endorsements and physical support for candidate campaigns. Thank you.
Item E12. Any public comment, Monica? Not on agenda items?
No.
Okay. Item F1. The board is being asked to approve the 3-year renewal with Lexia Learning Systems for Core 5 reading. May I get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item G1 is our warrants. The board is asked to approve the warrants for the period of April 21st, 2022 through May 19, 2022 in the amount of $2,119,055.12. Make a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item G2A, the board is asked to accept the donation from CHS Parent Group of $2,590 to CHS Virtual Enterprise ASB Club account. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve with gratitude.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, real quick, I just want to say, it was written correctly, but you said 2,119,000 and it's 199,000. So just for the record, I just wanted to.
On the warrants?
Yeah, on the warrants.
Okay. Item G2B is a donation from Stephen Kim to the CHS swim and water polo teams in the amount of $200. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Kim.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All those in favor?
Amazing. Aye.
Item G2C, the board is asked to accept the donation from Craig Zimmerman, Glenn Harbison, Sam Harbison, Emily Harbison, and James Hogue for a total of $975 to CHS Warrior football team. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve with gratitude.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item G2D, the board is asked to accept the donation from Charles and Lori Bryant of $50 to the ASB Science Club GL number 2731. A motion to approve?
Move to approve with gratitude.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item G2E, the board is asked to accept the donation from parents for Carpinteria High School to CUSD to be used towards the purchase of the CHS class of 2022 flags to be displayed in the downtown Carpinteria T for the month of June 2022. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in
It's
favor?
always good to see those.
I
Don't
It
know,
is
it's
super
great.
fun.
It's
And thank you
very
to all the
fun.
community members that donated towards this effort because
No, it's great.
the parent group, but the community at large. Thank you.
Yep, all those in favor?
Aye.
Item G2F, the board is asked to accept the grant from California Community Foundation of $1,000 to Carpinteria Middle School for Graphically and Magna Yours. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thanks to our librarian at CMS, Pat, for going after that grant.
Okay, item G3 is a resolution number 22-897 of the Carpinteria Unified School District, amending and adopting local guidelines for implementing the California Environmental Quality Act. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Is there any questions on this item? All right, it's a resolution.
Aaron.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
Sally.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
And I'm aye.
Item H1, the board is asked to approve the contract with KBC Architects for assistance with furniture selection at the Carpinteria High School Engineering Lab. This is an estimated amount not to exceed $30,600 and it'll be paid by Measure U funds. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, you have a question?
One question. So this includes the purchase of the furniture, not just the selection of the furniture?
No, this is the selection.
Oh, this is just
No, this
select-
is just the design and the
the
selection.
design and selection?
Yeah,
Okay.
not to exceed. So it's billed on time and materials.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item H2, the board is asked to approve a contract with Move Green to move 6 classrooms and the administration building to on-site storage containers. Additionally, classroom 1 will be packed and moved to main school by Move Green. The estimate provided by Move Green is based on an estimated amount of T&M to get the move done. The estimated is $18,906.10 to be paid with Measure U funds. Motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Sorry, quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Move Green, the 6 classrooms, those are the kinder classrooms?
Yes.
So Move Green is going to be actually packing them up, or they're just moving it? The teachers are, okay. Okay, thanks. All right, aye.
You're sly.
Yeah, I just,
Got it. Item H3, the board is asked to approve the addendum of the April 19th, 2019 LLB contract documents for the Catalina Modernization Project with McGillivray Construction Incorporated. On April 9th, 2019, the board approved the LLB contract documents for the Catalina Elementary School Modernization Project. During the pre-construction phase of the project, district and contractor discussed the need to break the project into separate phases due to the scope and fiscal and timing needs of the district. In April 12th, 2022 board meeting, the board approved the contractor's GMP proposal in the amount of $4,829,471 for phase 4 and 5 of the project. Project phases 4 and 5 include the admin building, room 1, and the early childhood learning center. There are no fiscal implications. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
aye.
Item H4, the contract with Kruger Benson Ziemer Architects for furniture selection at Catalina Elementary School for phase 4 and 5 modernization. This is a not to exceed amount of $29,600 paid by Measure U funds. Motion to approve.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item I1 is our personnel assignment. We have 14 new assignments, 1 additional retirement, 10 resignations, and 11 coaching extended season positions. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second?
Public comment on this one, Monica?
Yes, Union President Jay Hochner.
All those in favor of the personnel summary, or did you have a question?
Aye.
Aye. You look like you had something to say. All right, item J is our board announcements. We got anything to say?
Yes. So last Friday, Ms. Rigby, myself, council members Alarcon and Lee, along with city staff, met for our joint committee. We spoke on a variety of different things where the district and the city come together. We talked about the summer program that they're going to be starting, which is great, as well as the more of a long-term goal of a PALS program here locally in Carpinteria, which is going to be a great asset for a lot of our students. We were introduced to Deputy Brian Dickey, who's our new community resource deputy. Really great guy, lots of experience. And he was at prom on a Saturday night, meshing really well with the students, and he's excited to get on campuses and really bring a positive light to that position. Pedestrian safety improvements update. The Hawk system at the high school looks like it will be next year when it's finished. There was a lot of back and forth with Caltrans that held that up. And now I believe they're waiting on Edison for electric supply to the area. They did consult with high school staff about the design and the best way for it to work, which was really great that they worked directly with the high school. Then also the crossing at Carpinteria Avenue and Palm. We spoke about that, and they're going to be putting in a light system there as well. Not a Hawk system, I don't know. But the electrical happened to already be there, which is going to speed up the process significantly. So that's great. And then, was there a third one on that? It was just those two. The pedestrian safety. It was just the two, right? Okay. Library transition update. They are fully remodeling the inside of the library. It's going very well. July 1st or around there is their planned soft opening. And then shortly thereafter, the firm opening. And we have a librarian or a staff from the library that is actually mentoring and working with 4 high school students to be tutors for reading intervention type programs at the library in the mornings this summer, which is going to be a really cool program. Very excited for that. Pool update. Amber Workman wasn't able to be there. However, it was, I think, as most of our community is well aware, JG's is the sore spot right now. Only 65 kids they only had room for that based on decreased staffing. They're hoping to get more staffing so then they can open it back up for more kids, but they didn't want to overcommit on kids and then have to cancel on them if they weren't able to get the staffing. So that is a big issue for them. And it's not at the high school age type staffing. It's the full adult lifeguard type positions that they need about 10 to 15 more to bring the program up to where it should be. And then future topics for consideration, a farming nutrition program in partnership with the Whitney property here in Carpinteria, not the Whitney property in Summerland. And they have some really great ideas of how to involve the schools with that and you really create that as a community space for learning and nutrition and different things that they want to do there. They're going to spruce it up. They're putting in new fencing along the neighbors' property lines and things like that. But they want to make it like a working farming nutrition program, partner potentially with FFA, and have field trips from the schools there, and make it a great space. They're also looking for volunteer programs for high school students to work with city council and nonprofit organizations. That was more talking about creating an updated list of organizations or city entities that students can volunteer at for their high school hours, for their volunteer hours. Our next meeting is, I'm trying to remember what we went to. The next meeting that was proposed did not work for several of us. I believe it's going to be September 23rd. Friday, September 23rd, as of right now, is the next meeting for that group. And that's it. So thank you.
Nice recap. Any other comments?
I just would like to thank the community for the supporting the after prom party at Zoto's last week. It provides a really good, safe place for those kids to go expend their energy, have fun, and win some really good prizes. The raffle is tremendous, and it couldn't be put on, or it couldn't be as robust without the donations from the community. And from what I could tell, every kid there had a great time. And I think almost every student who attended the prom came to the after prom party and had a really good, till 1:30 in the morning. It was great.
I was just going to say that the Carpinteria Education Foundation had finished their senior scholarship interviews, and probably about 28 students, amazing students, including Natalia. What I found very interesting was the majority of the girls were going into STEM fields, math or science, and the boys were going into sports fields, but the majority of the girls, 2 were going to be teachers, but I love the difference today is making with girls in STEM. I think is absolutely terrific.
I just want to say thank you to the full board for my time here. I'm amazed by all of you. Everybody out there should know this is an incredibly smart team. We get a lot of pushback from the community, certain ones, and they all stay the course, and they're just so smart, and you guys are doing the good work here in the community, and I know you guys are continue just making the best things for the district. Diana, absolutely joy having you as a partner in this. The district should be honored to have you. You are one of the best people I've worked with before, so smart, so talented, and I know you're doing great things here, so I appreciate that. I will still be at graduation this year, my last meeting, but I'm going to graduation because it's one of my favorite things. And lastly, I want to wish my daughter a happy 14th birthday today. And let's head home so I can go have some cake. Yeah. So, board calendar, Monica?
We do have a public comment on board calendar.
On the board calendar or agenda
I'm
items?
sorry, never mind, okay. Oh, it's future agenda items. As a board calendar, I would like to remind the board, our next board meeting it's June 14. However, on the second board meeting in June 28th, we are gonna have to cancel that because we do not have enough quorum. And then we will come back in July.
Okay. Do you need a motion to?
Yes, please, would you be kind enough to move to cancel the
Was the June what meeting?
28th?
I need a motion to, or like to make a motion to remove the June 28th board meeting from our calendar.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, lastly is item L, our future agenda items. Do we have a public comment?
Yes, Union President Jay Hochner.
Okay.
Let me know when, please. Thank you. So throughout the spring of 2022, the school board was asked to include the following agenda items at the next or upcoming board meeting. First, the board was asked to examine and clarify the boundaries associated with school board members' rights to communicate directly with district stakeholders. The union believes this would better inform both board member decision-making and community connection to matters of district operations. Could the board please clarify the boundaries of these communications? What is permissible? What is not? How can we ensure that both board members and the community members they serve are in possession of accurate expectations regarding the direct communication and engagement of school board members? Unlike the misrepresentation provided by Mr. Schaefer on April 26th, this request is not about limiting board engagement and communication, but rather about transparently increasing and promoting board member expectations and responsibilities going forward. Second, the board has been consistently asked to provide retiring, resigning, and exiting employees an opportunity to participate in a formalized exit interview process. Although we have requested such a process for years, it was only at the last board meeting that the superintendent and school board announced that one already existed. You can only imagine how surprised union leadership was to hear this announcement, since before that date, neither the superintendent nor the human resource director, let alone the school board, ever cited such a process. Since that announcement, we've heard nothing further on the topic either. And after checking with exiting employees, none have engaged in such a process. To be clear, a scenario where a superintendent or administrator informally confronts an exiting employee without any assurance of confidentiality or purpose and asks why they're leaving, that does not constitute the exit interview process we imagined or are promoting. Nor would such a process be an industry standard. Therefore, we again request the development of a formal and confidential exit interview process for outgoing district employees. Thank you.
Our meeting is adjourned.